Everyone, and thanks for joining. My name is Elke Bastian. I'm a director ARIS Product Marketing at Software AG, and I will be your moderator for today. As we move through the session, we invite you to submit any questions that you have. The Q&A tab is located on the right side in the engagement dashboard. Type your questions into that box and hit the submit button when you're ready. Any comments and insights, just drop in the chat. We encourage you to engage during the session. Additional documentation is also available. You'll find it in the Docs tab, also in the engagement dashboard. There is also a short survey that we ask you to please answer before you leave at the end of the session. Well, now it's my pleasure to officially welcome you to today's webinar titled, Be the First to Use Your Processes in SAP Cloud ALM. Before we start, let me introduce our speaker, Georg Wilhelm. Georg is a director, ARIS Product Management at Software AG, and has been with Software AG and ARIS for many years. With more than 25 years of experience, he has known the tool since its early days. And he is a real expert for ARIS GRC, third-party integration, and SAP solutions. Currently, his focus lies on the integration between ARIS and SAP Cloud ALM. In the following 30 minutes, he will show and explain how this works in detail and what benefits this will bring to you. So, Jörg, over to you.
Thank you, Elke. I'm happy to be able to give you some insights in our capability in regard of how we can bring custom processes into SAP Cloud ALM. And before we start with the detailed information, of course, I would like to give a short overview about why it is relevant to have all this information available. So every company, of course, is forced to face the capability to make business transformation successful. And according to McKinsey, there are different topics that are relevant in that context. You have to align, for example, the strategy, the business processes, and the IT applications representing the why, the what, and the how, and have also to include the people, the workforce into that scenario. So you have to align really a lot of different aspects within such a business transformation. Very often, the overall performance is depending on topics like how can we increase revenue, how can we lower the operating costs to improve customer satisfaction, and to enhance the workforce productivity. And any transformation really needs to align all these different facets of business transformation. In that context, of course, also external tools like SAP Cloud ALM are very relevant. And one thing that we really can support very, very good is to give a chance to communicate between business and IT in a more effective way. So giving deeper insight in the background why a process is described in the way like it is, or what should be implemented by the IT application to follow the specific business processes is very helpful if you are able to really have one basis where the different stakeholders, the different team members can access to and get a better understanding why and how adaptations, fine-tuning, and configurations have to be done. With ARIS, we are supporting this, and we are offering with ARIS a whole transformation suite. Transformation suite means we have different aspects that are supported with our tooling. So we are offering capabilities in the context of process mining, of business process analysis, of automation, and of risk and compliance. And with such a one-stop shop for your way of working, our customers are really effectively working through the whole cycle. Process mining, of course, helps you to optimize your business with deep process insights. And in the context like we are talking now at the moment in regard of process description and defining processes for IT implementation, it might be useful to have insight into the as-is situation. Process mining offers capability in that context, and these as-is processes can then be a starting point for the description of how should be the to-be process. In the business process analysis, we are helping to transform towards operational excellence. It means we help you to really come from the status as it is now into a better future. The automation part, this is where exactly the SAP Cloud ALM integration also belongs to, is the thing that covers the automation aspects to help processes really to be improved and to be worked on a very efficient way. In addition to this, of course, risk and compliance are also very relevant aspects. For example, a lot of transformation or starting points for transformation come out of the fact that a lot of regulations are affecting the companies and force the company again and again and again to adopt their processes and also their IT systems that are supporting these processes. Having a look where we with ARIS are already working in the SAP landscape, we can say that we have a very deep integration to SAP capabilities for many, many years. On the application lifecycle management, we are exchanging information between SAP Solution Manager and ARIS for a really long time. So on the one hand side, it is of course possible to synchronize data libraries from Solution Manager as input to ARIS and to synchronize back the processes for the application lifecycle management within the implementation phase from ARIS into Solution Manager. Furthermore, these processes can also be used to create test cases to really support the testing of the operational system within this SAP context. So you can use your process models and create walkthroughs and create additional documentation that helps testing a user-based test within the system. Furthermore, in the enablement part, bringing all this content and all the information to the employees, we are also able to integrate with SAP Enable Now, so we can use the process structures as mean to really organize the assets that then help in the rollout and in the training phase to bring the customers, the employees, not the customers, the employees in a better understanding and in a better way of working with the processes and with the SAP tool. Finally, in the run and optimize part, we are, as already mentioned, able to analyze and to mine processes on the operational level and to input this into ARIS. And furthermore, there are different ways of helping and of communication how this ERP system, the SAP system or S/4HANA systems are used in the process as described. So you can use these processes to also be able that your employees can see what are the respective Fiori masks or the transactions and how does it look like in the SAP system. And vice versa, it is also possible to jump from the ERP system into the process documentation to have a better understanding of the business process that lies behind that. And in that context, the new kid on the block is the capability to also synchronize processes into SAP Cloud ALM. As many of you might know, SAP Cloud ALM is becoming more and more relevant as Solution Manager is announced to be to reach its end of life. So for 2027, the end of maintenance for the implementation part is announced, and the end of extended maintenance is announced for 2030. SAP Cloud ALM will take over a lot of capabilities that at the moment are covered by Solution Manager. Not all, as far as I know, but there are a lot of additional capabilities and functionalities that then are used in that context. SAP has decided to have also there a kind of open approach, meaning they are offering more and more APIs so that also other tools can link into that system. And in that context, in the last year, SAP realized the first process management API version so that it is now possible to synchronize processes from external system into SAP Cloud ALM. They are working heavily on extending this within the next time, and of course, we are following this. So the first step was realized in that context to support especially the context of SAP Cloud ALM for implementation steps, especially in the design phase. We position our support, our tooling with combining content from ARIS into SAP Cloud ALM. Of course, there are also a lot of other topics relevant in that context, but let's start with the first topics there. So if you are using and if you know the SAP Cloud ALM user interface, you of course know that for the SAP Cloud ALM for implementation parts, a lot of different apps are available. So you are supported by setting up your projects, by working with the respective tasks for such an implementation projects, by managing the scopes, defining processes, are able to process author, but also to work on its requirements, with defects, with testing, and so on. The context we are working on, we are concentrating on the processes, and I would now like to first have a short, deeper insight in the process authoring capabilities. Within SAP Cloud ALM, there is in the app process authoring a capability to create some process models, some value flows, and some solution process flows. And what is able to do there is that you can either create them by really modeling them, or on the on the value flow level, you can also import an SVG file, meaning a graphic that represents the respective information. One level deeper is the level for the solution process flows. And there, again, you are able to either create via modeling respective BPMN models, as you can see it on the slide. It is also, in the meantime, possible to create from BPMN files respective models, and you can also use their SVG file. In the first version of the AP as it is delivered by SAP, it is possible to import these SVG files, this graphical information from external systems into this process authoring capability. And that is exactly what we have done in the context. So having a look at ARIS, where in ARIS you have described your way of working, your process knowledge is documented, your reference content is available, and now it is possible to use that content, synchronize it into custom processes, into the SAP Cloud ALM, and then to navigate between both systems. So to enable the participants in the projects to really get access to all relevant information and to exchange also and to work with all that stuff. How does that look like? From a personas and roles perspective, this is more process. Of course, we need a kind of administrator who establishes technically the Cloud ALM connectivity. Then we are accessing the to-be processes, preparing them a little bit if necessarily, and then import these processes as custom processes into SAP Cloud ALM, where then the SAP project implementation team is working on. And if there is need for additional information, it is possible to easily access and navigate into the ARIS portal to get deeper insight about the business context, the topics that are related with these processes, and to really navigate all the content that is relevant for the SAP project team to really get a better understanding from the business side. Having a first look at the Cloud ALM connectivity from the technical side, all you need at the moment is you need the URL of an SAP Cloud ALM tenant and the SAP Cloud Authentication Service. In addition to that, as we are using an API, we need an API client ID and the respective API client secret to import the respective information from ARIS into SAP Cloud ALM. As we would like to make that as easy as possible, we have created a version in a way that is technically also necessary from the API as perspective, that we already have to assign the respective projects and the scopes to this information that is available in ARIS. That means we are accessing with ARIS the existing projects and the existing scopes in SAP Cloud ALM and can select them in the administrative part and assign this to our internal SAP project structure. From the technical side, from the administration side, that is all. And then, as mentioned, we come to the next step where we define the to-be processes. And there you have really a whole range of capabilities that supports you in creating processes, documenting processes, communicating processes. Not all of these capabilities that I now mention are needed at the same time, but they are fitting very well together. And if you decide to not use one of them, of course, all the others are still available and can be used within this context. So you do not have to build the whole big picture at once, but you can enhance it and can start with some of these, or if needed, you can also use the whole range. One I would like to mention especially is the process mining capability. That means if you decide to start with the as-is processes in ARIS, of course, it is possible to model that, but it is also possible to really analyze your SAP systems, but also other systems, according how are the processes really executed and which paths and which walkthroughs are really in use. And if you have analyzed and documented this, you can import this information into the ARIS as basis for respective improvements or for defining how the to-be processes should look like. ARIS itself, of course, has a very good document and model repository where you can structure your models, grant access rights, respective the different users and the different stakeholders. So not everybody has to see everything, but you can really configure that according to needs in the project. And with this database approach and with this repository, a lot of analysis, reporting capabilities, and so on are at hand. And you all have the accurate information from a single source of truth within that tool. Generating of models of content is of course possible via modeling, but also via other means. For example, it is also possible to use contribution capabilities. That means it is not necessarily needed to really use a graphical modeling capability, but to add content in a more table-like view, and creating connections via this is very helpful for people who do not really know how to model, but who would enter the content. And that brings us to the next topic, because we would like to involve all possible stakeholders, all relevant stakeholders, and not everybody of them is really keen in a BPMN model or something like this. If we, for example, have a look at risk and compliance people, they normally work more with kind of table view, Excel-like or something like this. And of course, it's also possible to capture risk and compliance assets, risk libraries, control libraries, or also to assign, to map risks and controls to processes and so on via such a contribution capability. Then, of course, you can use the publication and collaboration capabilities to really show how the status or how the process should look like and communicate this to the employees and to get feedback of the employees. And for example, also when we have a look at the SAP implementation team, they are also able to then give their comments or to discuss the respective content in ARIS. Of course, we also are supporting governance workflows so that it's really guaranteed that only a model and a status that should be implemented is made available. And with such governance workflows, we are offering really a strong tool in governing all the exchange information. Having a look how now in such a synchronization of existing models into SAP Cloud ALM look like, I would like to start a small video. So what you see here is the ARIS portal in the modeling capabilities. And what you see now is that on the repository view, that is the view where normally the modelers, the people who are really working on the process models are working on. They are accessing an Explorer structure where they see the different databases and the respective Explorer structure to assign the different access rights or to structure the modeling content. And on database level, we have added a capability that we call Manage SAP Projects. And this is exactly connecting, depending on what was configured in the administration part, connecting the SAP Sub-Cloud ALM system with ARIS. So you see here one folder with the process library, content showing what is available in Sub-Cloud ALM, and additional folders with specific projects as they are defined within SAP Cloud ALM, including the different scopes. As you might see at the moment, in that case, we already have a sales order management process that was already synced with the Sub-Cloud ALM demo. And I would now like to show how we can sync an additional value diagram with the assigned models. So you're selecting the specific scope within a project and add the processes to these projects. So there you have two different ways. On the one hand side, you can of course navigate according the Explorer structure, or you use the search or find capabilities and let's search within the database the respective models, select the right one and just add this to this library. So it is now brought into the project. And after maintaining some additional information, for example, you have to assign here the business process information as an attribute that is also relevant within the sub-cloud ALM context. But then you can easily synchronize that. And after the sync, you see that the respective information is made available in sub-cloud ALM. How does this look like? So I now open up a process from ARIS within the process authoring app in sub-cloud ALM. And on the first view, you see some general information like the name of the respective model, the description, the assigned business process, the relevant country and region. All this is maintained within ARIS and transferred then into the sub-cloud ALM. And you see 3 links to the accelerators. And these are the links back to the assigned solution value flow diagram and the respective solution process flow diagrams. The solution value flow diagram itself is also made available in a graphical way in that tool. And the same is true for the assigned solution process flows. And as you might see, this is possible, be it at the BPMN model, but also an EPC model, as this is supported by this SVG graphic. And with this, you can see how easy it is to really select the relevant process models in ARIS and to transfer them into the process authoring capabilities. As already mentioned, then the work within SAP Cloud ALM starts. You have the capability to navigate through these accelerators, not only in the process authoring area, but also, and that is what I would like now to showcase, how can we navigate out of the processes app in SAP Cloud ALM. So I now switch from the process authoring into the process app. And there I would also like to show how this is represented there. So you can filter according to your processes, have the custom process sales order management that we have imported also available here. And you again see the solution value flow, the solution process flows, the respective description, the accelerators, and of course you can here also add the requirements, the user stories, and so on in SAP Cloud ALM. And you can navigate back if you need some deeper insight into ARIS. What you see here is the ARIS portal, where we have a kind of overview information, but we can also use different kinds of showcasing the content, not only in that textual way or in a graphics way. For example, we're also able to show such a process in a kind of steps view. That means you can really navigate through the different processes and have deeper insight, deeper information for each of the objects that is relevant there. Of course, also in the diagram. So you have here the whole capabilities of navigating, of using all that content as a viewer in ARIS and to really access the business background within the specific SAP implementation project. Okay, what have we seen? So I wanted to showcase you that we are able to support the respective ARIS content in a graphical way and import this into the SAP Cloud or ALM. So this is true for both for the value flow and for the process solution flow. And with the first version of the SAP Process Management API, this is only possible with an SVG graphic. That means at the moment, what we are offering since the November release of ARIS is to really importing this content in a graphical way. And if you need some additional information, you have to navigate into the ARIS portal. That has the advantage, for example, if you are not using pure BPMN models, but also other models like the EPC or like a column EPC or EPMN model notation, you can also use this as content and deliver this and let the people access this. In the long run, of course, SAP is also enhancing, and SAP has enhanced that API 2 or 3 weeks ago with the capability to also import BPMN models into SAP Cloud ALM via this API. And at the moment, our colleagues from R&D are really working heavily on that to support also this, that you not only have the graphical BPMN model available, but really the respective objects so that you can really click the task, the events or the additional information also in the model authoring capabilities. But this is future music. We are working on this, and at the moment the plans are that we will release this with the SR26 release within this summer. Let's see if we are really have the quality then to deliver this, but at the moment everything is still on green, so look forward and stay tuned. We are on it. as a final slide, I would like to showcase again the whole capabilities, how do they play together of the ARIS components with the SAP respective apps and tools. And to give you an overview about this, I have a kind of animated graphic here that will help you hopefully to understand what is possible. As already mentioned, not every single step within this is really technically needed, but it can be used and it supports too. So let's start with the process mining. Of course, you can import measured processes via process mining that are coming out of SAP or SAP S/4HANA and import this into the process modeling tool. This is not only true for SAP systems, but of course also for non-SAP systems. We are offering a lot of accelerators in that context that really helps you. If you would like to have deeper insight into that, you can have a look at the ARIS community where you see we as Software AG and our partners, we are offering a lot of content in that context, and you can have a look what is supported there. Then, of course, the connection with the SAP Solution Manager, where we are able to import reference content as it is available in the Solution Manager, but also best practice processes, the different libraries for executables, interfaces, and process steps, and some additional elements out of the SAP system, like the system landscape, organizational units and roles, and documents as input for the respective modeling. Of course, reference content library can also come from other systems. That's not necessarily only possible with SAP Solution Manager. With SAP Solution Manager, in addition to the mentioned topics, of course, we are also supporting the Solution Manager structure, solution branch folders, as you have defined this, for the IM and the export of the respective information from SAP Solution Manager and back to it. Using the content as it is then available and adding additional process steps, additional roles, additional capabilities, but also additional information from other stakeholders, for example, as already mentioned, to explain why a specific control step is necessary, because some regulation just enforces that you have something like this within your process. You can use all this to then define your specific to-be processes. And these to-be processes can then be imported into the SAP Solution Manager as scenario and process flow. And you can use the respective to-be processes also to create your test documentation that can also be delivered within the Solution Manager, but also into other testing tools. Having the to-be processes made available, of course, with the new kit and block, we can also link these processes and import these processes into the SAP Cloud ALM application as value flow and as solution process flow, and are also able to then navigate either from Solution Manager, but also from SAP Cloud ALM to the respective published processes, so that the people who are working on the implementation part are really able to access all that content. Furthermore, as already also mentioned, you can use the process structure for structuring additional information for the rollout. So the enable now capability to navigate and to add additional training material or the additional documentation to the processes is also supported in projects. And as also already mentioned, the navigation from the ARIS processes into, for example, masks, or vice versa from the ERP system into the process help, into the process documentation is also possible. And having that said that, I would now like to come to the question and answer session.
Yes, Georg, thank you, first of all, very much for this interesting presentation. There were some questions in the Q&A section I tried to already answer, but maybe check if you would like to add something. For example, which is interesting, does the ARIS integration have to be established before the project in SAP Cloud ALM?
No, that's
or
not necessary.
Can it be installed and integrated later on the fly?
Yeah, that is not necessary to do that in advance. So if you're working with the SAP Cloud ALM tools already, it is very easy to then integrate that and to add the respective content there. So what we are importing is just the respective custom processes, and these can be added at any time. You have another question from me?
Maybe the question about the license?
I can't access at the moment the chat, so could you please read it for me?
Yes, sure. I can also share. I think no, doesn't work for me as well, sorry. So this question was, which license do I need to synchronize to SAP Cloud ALM and to navigate back to ARIS?
Okay.
I think you explained it, but maybe you can repeat.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure that I really already mentioned it. So for doing this synchronization stuff, it is necessary to have the ARIS for Sub Solutions extension. With this, you are able, with the web client, to synchronize your content with the SAP Cloud systems and to navigate back to really the people who are working within SAP Cloud ALM and would like to just read or just to comment or just to discuss on the content in ARIS, but do not really model, just need a viewer license for the respective access. So depends on what exactly the people are doing. For the synchronization from ARIS, you need the SAP for Solution extension. For just accessing the information, a simple viewer license is sufficient.
Okay, maybe the last one. In which ARIS edition is this license available?
Yeah, that's also a good question. In the you need the ARIS Enterprise Edition to work with the with the ARIS for Sub Solution extension. So it is not available in the advanced or in the shared environment yet. We are working on that, but at the moment you really need the Enterprise Edition.
Yes, and it is available since the latest release, right? Since ARIS 10 SR24, that was released last November, if I remember well. Yeah, so let's see how we will extend it in future.
Okay.
Okay, those were the questions. So thank you again very much, Georg, for the presentation.
Cool.
As a reminder for everyone, before you leave, please take a minute to answer the survey in the engagement board on the right side. If you liked our webinar, you might also like the next one on March 12th, and the replay will happen on the 13th. It is titled 5 Tips to Get the Most Out of Your Data in ARIS. And I know that one of the tips is how you can rapidly create ARIS dashboards and what you can do with them. If you want to see what else is in for you, please check the registration page that was just displayed in the ticker, and I will also copy it in the chat. Then I would also like to invite you to our IUG 24. It's the International user groups conference. It takes place on April 9 to 11th in Dublin. And one of our customer presentations is by Senipra from Brazil. And they will present the success of their S/4HANA migration in which they used ARIS as well. There's also a link in the Docs tab to the Senipra customer story. So if you would like to read a bit more about this customer, you can just go to this customer story. Okay, there were questions about the presentation. We will share it, of course, and we will also share the recording. And I think that's it. All questions were answered. So thanks again for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.